He had been with Velzard for a long time, but the reason was that he didn't know what hidden authority she possessed. Once her secret was revealed, it would be no problem for Guy to handle her. The moment Velzard failed to finish Guy off with her hidden authority, the outcome was already decided. That was the truth, and even Velzard understood it well. Yet, she refused to admit it. No, she simply didn't want to admit it. Not yet, I haven't lost yet. You've had enough, haven't you? How long are you going to keep pretending to be controlled? Shut up. Ahahaha. Don't sulk. You think you can solve everything on your own, don't you? Yeah. Because I'm strong. How arrogant. That's just who I am. I know. Velzard's heart remained frozen. But only when she was talking to Guy could she feel a faint warmth. She was on the verge of being swept away by it. However, that was not allowed. So, jealousy has sprouted after all. Did you think you could deceive me, Velzard? That was the curse command engraved in Velzard's heart. The cunning and cautious Feldway had been controlling Velzard through the Archangel's dominion, but he had doubts about its effectiveness. Feldway had seen through it precisely because Velzard's love was genuine, and thus the outcome would not waver. In the end, she would be bound by Guy, suppress her true feelings, and come up with excuses to obey him, he thought. Therefore, Feldway had devised a strategy under the assumption that Velzard would betray him. He had set up a mechanism in the control circuit so that he could monitor Velzard at any time. He had prepared it so that, in case of an emergency, he could activate the Royal Authority Dominion as a trump card. However, this effect was only embedded like a time-limited device, and had only a momentary impact. Feldway, who was expending all his energy to control Milm, could only dream of controlling Velzard. But still, Twilight was in Velzard's heart. Feldway had negotiated with Twilight and secretly formed a contract. Twilight, are you still planning to slack off? Even before Feldway asked, Twilight had been eagerly waiting for that opportunity. I've been waiting for this moment. Twilight awakened. This time, it was not a fake like the pseudo-dragon body, but the real body of a true dragon that he now possessed. Velzard's body faintly glowed, transforming into a more masculine physique. His appearance was unmistakably that of Twilight. Hey Guy. I may have slipped up earlier, but this time, I think I'll take the win. You bastard. For the first time in a long while, Guy felt anger bubbling up from the depths of his heart. Unforgivable. How dare you lay a hand on what's mine? To deceive and use my dear Velzard. You've got some nerve, Twilight. If you're so eager to die, I'll grant you that wish. A searing, intense rage caused Guy's hair to stand on end, turning a vivid red. Oh, scary, scary, Twilight taunted with a laugh. Finish this quickly. The curse command engraved in Velzard's heart, a remnant of Feldway that couldn't even be called a parallel existence, commanded Twilight. Twilight nodded in response. Yes, I'll take care of Guy right now. Twilight tried to respond to Feldway with a mental voice, but that thought was abruptly cut off. At that moment, a path had opened within the void that had enveloped Guy and Velzard. And through that path, a single bullet was fired. The name of that bullet, capable of annihilating anything, was Judgment. Hey Carrera. Don't you think you overdid it? Even if my judgment is powerful, I don't think it's strong enough to take down a true dragon in one hit. So, it should be fine. Well, I suppose you're right. But still, I didn't expect you to blow a hole right through Velzard Sama's heart. The miracle that Gabiru had triggered didn't just protect those within the barrier. Its true purpose was to free those who had been turned into ice statues. Gabiru's main target was, of course, his newly found lover, but the miracle's effect first rescued Carrera, who was closest to him. Because of that, or rather, as a result of that, Carrera revived in a rage, muttering about a bad feeling as she went on a rampage. She unleashed her trump card, which could only be used once per day, without any hesitation. Everyone was shocked by this, except for Tensura. Like Carrera, she had sensed something ominous from Velzard, so she immediately understood Carrera's intent. In coordination, she manipulated Void to open a path for the attack to reach Velzard. Through this teamwork, Carrera's judgment struck Velzard directly, piercing and destroying the curse command that Feldway had placed on her, erasing even the remnants of Feldway himself. At the same time, the attack didn't spare Twilight, the manas that had been residing within Velzard. Normally, a manas coexists with the soul, making it nearly impossible to detect her target. No one should have been able to attack a manas directly. However, Velzard's case was different. She and Twilight had only a cooperative relationship, Velzard was merely his host. Because of this, Twilight existed as a distinct entity, fully separate. The reason it could dwell within the pseudo-dragon body was precisely because of this separation. This wasn't exactly a weakness, but the unexpected direct hit threw Twilight into disarray. This is impossible. The chances of this happening are. But no amount of denial could change reality. And with that, Twilight's consciousness was swallowed by darkness. With even the core that Velzard had been protecting destroyed, Twilight's existence was completely erased from this world. Of course, this fortunate outcome likely owed itself to Gabiru's fate alteration. Tensura, recognizing this, silently reevaluated her opinion of him. That said, not everything had gone perfectly. Twilight had just taken over Velzard's body, only to lose control of it entirely. As a result, Velzard returned to her original form, but the effects of judgment were overwhelming. She lost all reason and went berserk. Hey, you idiot. Think before you act. Guy, having been caught in the chaos, snapped at Carrera. Although Velzard wasn't quite as dangerous as Milne, in her current rampaging state, she was still a massive threat. Moreover, as more and more ice statues were freed, the absolute defense blessing was beginning to fade. Guy had no choice but to go all out to contain the situation. I feel kinda bad, but I don't regret it. Besides, I was the one who got frozen by Velzard-sama. It's only fair I get to hit her back at least once, right? Carrera's response was typical of her, somewhat logical, yet completely unreasonable. That one hit was way too much. Think about what happens after you act. These words were undeniably correct. Carrera could only grumble. Since she had led with her strongest secret technique, she had no retort. Tisk, whatever. I don't have time to argue with you. Guy clicked his tongue and grappled with Velzard. Well, I guess we have no choice. Tensura also aligned herself with Guy. Seeing Velzard unconscious, it was clear that something had also happened to Twilight. It was likely influenced by Carrera's judgment of God's destruction. They decided to switch tactics, using Void to neutralize the magic bullets Velzard was firing. At the same time, they began sealing the ice and snow with Void as well. Well, it wasn't a problem for them, ensuring visibility was crucial for those evacuating. You two, this isn't the time to be slacking off. Tensura pointed out in a cold tone. Oh well, I guess I have no choice. I'll take responsibility and help out that useless Guy. It seems I'll have to show off my true power after all. Carrera was fired up from the start. Rain, on the other hand, reluctantly agreed. Even Guy was exasperated by this. Of course. Stop yapping and get over here already. He barked, allowing the two to join the fight. On the ground, Tensura focused on offensive defense using Void dispersing the ice and snow while questioning Misery. Aren't you going to join the fight? Well, I think I'll stay on the defensive side. That's probably for the best. Even Geld couldn't possibly deploy a barrier capable of protecting such a wide area, so Moss's protective barrier remained the main defense. With Rain having left to reinforce it, Misery's burden had increased. However, with Geld's reinforcements, the barrier's strength had actually improved despite Rain's absence. That much was reassuring, but the real issue was Velzard's freezing effect gradually being undone. Esprit, who had been revived, also joined in reinforcing the barrier, seemingly resigned to the situation. I wish they'd at least explain what's going on. She grumbled, but she still did what needed to be done. Others were also reviving one after another, quickly assessing the situation and either retreating from the battlefield or starting to guide evacuees. In the pure white world, visibility was only just beginning to return. For the most part, they had to rely on other senses like smell and hearing. For those who didn't understand what was happening, it was a living hell. The deafening sounds of battle, along with the shockwaves and vibrations that shook heaven and earth, left many pale-faced. If we're going to die, I'd rather have stayed asleep. Was likely the honest sentiment of most. While reassuring these people, the higher-ups were guiding them. Fortunately, since those gathered here were seasoned warriors, there wasn't much chaos. Of course, there were also those who chose not to evacuate and instead watched the battle unfold. Things have gotten really intense. Gobble muttered as he looked up at the scene of Guy and his companions fighting. Even though I can only vaguely grasp the situation, if someone told me the world was ending, I'd probably believe it. Standing beside Gabia, Phobio nodded in agreement. There were some, like Carrion, who remained optimistic. No need to be scared. Guy will figure something out, I'm sure. While saying this, Carrion tried to put his arm around Free's shoulder. His attitude was almost refreshingly detached, as if he had already given up on being able to do anything himself. How foolish. It's true that we can't help with constructing the barrier, but we can still reorganize the troops. Quickly use telepathy to gather the warriors and reassure them. Free replied, grabbing Carrion's hand as it reached for her shoulder. Carrion gave a wry smile and raised his hands in surrender. Hey Guy, we're counting on you. We'll be back soon, so hold the fort until then. Carrion and Free set before leaving to gather the warriors who were gradually reviving. Guy let out a sigh. Well, typical of Carrion to boss me around like that. Not that I wouldn't have done it anyway, though. He held a favorable opinion of Carrion. If possible, he wanted to live up to Carrion's expectations, but the situation wasn't so simple. Velzard's rampage was terrifying and showed no signs of stopping. Guy was confident he could hold his own and even win in a fight, but killing her was a different matter. It might be possible given enough time, but the damage done by then would be catastrophic. Besides, he valued Velzard too much to even consider killing her as an option. So, what do we do now? Gi-sama, what should I do? Carrera and Rain stood beside Gi, asking for instructions. Well, Gi pondered. It was the most difficult question he had ever faced.